Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Full Course Yellow, the in pit lane after party. I hope you've seen, if you've been watching us, joining us on Channel 31. Thank you for coming across and joining us here. As you can see tonight, it's a quiet night tonight. Everybody's either up or up in Bathurst or have gone to bed, so which is probably not a bad idea, and more about that later as well. Been an interesting day. So Pete Johnson joining me tonight, and so we'll have a chat about Bathurst and about Formula One. A few things that certainly a few things in Formula One. There's always stuff to talk about in Formula One. Find out about the salary cap. The salary cap announcement has been delayed. Interesting that, very interesting that. Yes, so we'll get onto that in just a moment. But it's been a big day at Bathurst. Let's have the roll call first. See who's here. Russell Clark is with us again. G'day, Russell. How are you? Box is ready to go. Really good band tonight. Thank you. Yeah, that was. It was quite a handful. The band tonight. They had all sorts. They were using a click. It was really bizarre because they were using a click track in their ear to keep time, and also they were going direct. There was the only thing that was mic'd was the guitar, and of course we heard the drums. So it was really weird in the studio. We had no idea what they sounded like until we actually sort of recorded them. But yeah, so a good. So yeah, so they were so that was kudos. So thanks. We've been very late. We've had good bands this season, haven't we, Pete?
Yep, we have.
Yeah. So hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed that continues. I think we've got a solo. We could probably use a solo act. We could use the break after. It was pretty chaotic in the studio on Tuesday, but yet again, the RMI TV crew and everybody and the techs in at RMIT, we all managed to pull it off, and we got a show to wear. So once again, thank you to everybody, and thanks to the guys from Kudos. Interesting, what I didn't know about them, I don't know whether you picked it up, Pete, whether you spoke to them at all, but the guys, not from, I mean, they're based in Melbourne now, but they actually formed in Singapore, and the lead singer's French, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I think his accent, but I thought he was Dutch.
He had a straight. Interesting. He must have spent a lot of time in Singapore and a lot of time speaking English, because I heard the accent, but he didn't have like the really strong French accent. But they were lovely. They were lovely young guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were terrific. So good on Kudos, and thanks for them coming as well. Good day to Tony P. Good day there, and I still haven't got back to you yet, Tony, on those damn photos. But I haven't got back to a lot of people. More about that later. I've also realised I haven't turned the light on this week either. I've been that busy, but I don't think it's going to kill matters to see me with a few shadows on my face. Go to Mad Cow Mark. A huge weekend for Hugh Barter. Yeah, Hugh won all three races. Unfortunately, as we said in the news, his team, and I don't know if perhaps Mark's heard differently now, because the team Campos was appealing, but they the first two races, they'd made some modifications, very minor modifications to the car, in terms of to try and keep some debris out of they put some grill material in the side pods to try and keep the debris out, and a bit of mess that was around the place, and that was deemed an illegal modification. So they took those two wins away from. Hugh. Wouldn't have made any difference for the championship. His teammate Solov was going to win, but basically wrapped it up anyway, regardless of what the situation was there. But unfortunately, yeah, it did cost him a couple of races. But yes, he's doing a great job, doing a really, really great job, Hugh, there, and he'll concentrate now. He's got one round of the Spanish Championship to go, and he's concentrating probably on the French series. Unfortunately, as we said before, because of the stupid rules they've got there, if on any of the tracks he runs he's run as a part of the Spanish series, he's not eligible for points in the French series, which is crazy. So he's had some wins that basically got him no points at all. So the fact that he's still in such a strong position is fabulous stuff, and he really is starting to get a lot of attention from people, and hopefully there'll be some good news on the way. G'day to Michael. Hello to Michael. Paul Vandenacker is there, so I take it just you're not up at Bathurst, Paul. So I mean, everybody else is, and they were lucky today, weren't they, Pete? I mean, with the weather, it was.
Yeah, it was dry, or relatively dry. Um,
Yeah, so I'll bring up some because we've got some qualifying information here about that. That's the code. I'll bring up the so this is practice one. Will Davison was the fastest in early morning practice. So good there. Great performance by James Golding as well in second place too. So I was actually really busy today, and more about that. So I didn't see any of Bathurst. So I take it you did, Pete. So what are your
I,
impressions of the
I, I
first day?
saw I saw a little bit of practice one, and then I had to do some shopping, so I went somewhere to a venue to watch practice two.
A venue where adult beverages may be served.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well done.
Um, uh, but yeah, um, gee, the Shane Van Gisbergen car, they got that tuned up really well. But I think I actually think like you and Doc talked about it on the show, but I actually think that Will Davison, I might tip for the winning is Will Davison.
Yeah, well, certainly fastest in P1, so that's a really good sign. I mean, and the Van Gisbergen had a bit of a brush with the wall in P1. Now in second position. In fact, while you've raised that, I will flick over to you because Garstander was the fastest of the drivers in the co-driver session, and after the session, he caught up with the people from Fox Sports and Supercars Media and. Basically, just gave a few impressions of what the session was like and what he thinks is going to happen for the rest of the race.
The first time ever they've given me green tyres in this car. So 4 years it took me to get a set.
Well done.
And yeah, got a set and the car hooked up really nicely. There's so much more in it. So yeah, really, really happy. Oh, I mean, the car just hooks up so nicely. So track's fast, like the track is fast. No doubt the boys have been talking about the epoxy that's down on the track and it's getting spread around. And the track was pretty inconsistent. I did 2 laps in practice one and it was inconsistent, but it's spread a lot more. So the grip here at 2 is so good. That's the fastest I've ever been through 2 and into the cutting.
Yep.
And that's where the epoxy really hooked up and the track's really fast. So a 4-1, that's like I said, fastest I've ever been around here in a supercar. Car's nice. We've still got some things that we want to improve and make the car better. So once that was the base car, and then we ran through 3 different options through the session. So it's great. I feel really comfortable in the car, particularly across the top. So yeah, really happy with the start. Yeah, look, there's a couple of slow speed stuff we want to improve without hurting the high speed, and there's a couple of high speed things we want to improve without hurting the low speed. So that's why we ran through 3 different options. So we've got a heap of information tonight to see if we can make the car better for tomorrow. But that was probably the driest we'll run until maybe Sunday afternoon. So we've got a pretty good base car. There's so much rain predicted. If we get half the rain that's predicted, it's still going to be really wet. So you generally don't, when it's wet, you don't change the car too much. You just leave the car as it is and see what you've got and see how competitive it is against everyone up and down pit lane. You don't want to deviate too far away from your dry car because I think the forecast is that basically from 11 o'clock on Sunday, race start, it'll start drying out again. So, we've clearly got a pretty good car. It's just whether the track changes with all the wet running that we're likely to do over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting point that he made there, Pete. About this is the thing, and the glorious uncertainty of long distance racing. They really are in a really tough position because if it does start, if they do start off in heavy rain and the track is wet on Sunday, as he said, but it's forecast at sort of mid-morning that it is going to clear up, and by the time the race is finished, they're going to be back to a fully dry setup probably. So there's no point sort of making radical changes because if they soften things up too much and put on too much wing or anything like that, it's going to really affect them. So they're just going to have to sort of compromise. So that's going to make it interesting on the weekend.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's going to turn up a lot of interesting results.
Yes, certainly there. Good day to Phoenix. Good morning from America. You've got a very early morning in America. I would take it. What would be about? What, depending on what side of the states you're on, it'll be about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So Yeah, you're doing better than having been up at 4 o'clock this morning our time and still being up now. I know what that feels like. So good to have you along. Thanks a lot, Phoenix, for joining us as well. Mad Cow Mark also has been stayed up watching test and tune drag racing from USA. Now that reminds me, Mad Cow Mark, you will be interested in this. Was hoping to run it tonight until I found out it was actually embargoed until tomorrow. Can't say what it is, but for drag racing fans, if you're hardcore drag racing fans, obviously like Mad Cow Mark and myself are, watch Bathurst first thing tomorrow morning. First thing tomorrow morning, there is something at Bathurst which will be of great interest to local drag racing fans. So I got the news about that this afternoon and was hurriedly putting stuff together until I sort of looked at the top and said, yeah, warning, embargoed until 8:30 a.m. Friday morning, and went, okay, damn it, okay. But yes, first thing tomorrow morning, Mark, and to all the drag racing fans, you have a look at there. It's not shock news, but I think it's good news. I mean, in terms of on a number of fronts. So yeah, have a look at that tomorrow. Okay, on the East Coast, luckily it's 7 a.m. Yeah, it would be, yes, because I'm part of a thing called office hours, which they come out at 7 a.m. on the West Coast. So it's about so it's about 1 o'clock in the morning here on. There, so yeah, terribly early. So yeah, not too bad. So have a good day, Phoenix. So thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Okay, so we've got that. Yeah, the other thing that happened today, and Phoenix and others might be interested in this. Mark saying drag strip at Bathurst. Well, that'd be interesting. Yeah, they could drag racing on Conrod Strait. That'd be interesting.
Isn't there one within the precinct of Panorama?
No. There's nothing there at all. I'm not sure the nearest drag strip would probably be down at Sydney Dragway. There's not a lot of. That's the problem they got in New South Wales. There's not a lot of tracks of any sort anywhere. I mean, every time they build a new track or something, the bastards close it down. So. That's good. Also, more news, and I don't have the details, unfortunately, but drag racing is coming back to Calder Park. October 14th is scheduled for off-street racing, Fast Friday, which is very, very popular. Off-street drag racing out at Calder Park. So that is happening, and they're hoping, and they're making announcements there. I haven't heard from Pete or anybody yet as to what's going to happen, what the rest of the season is like. But I mean, that's really good news, because I know we've all been hanging out and it's been sort of on, and there's been delays here and delays there, and suddenly it just sort of popped up in my feed that yes, October 14th. Friday, October 14th, drag racing would be back at Calder Park, and they will be announcing a full calendar of events very soon. So yes, that's really, really good news. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it turns into something permanent this time. Speaking of on the at Bathurst today, we also saw Dick Johnson, the legend that is Dickie Johnson. Got behind the wheel of the brand new Gen 3 Mustang, the one on the new mould. We got a couple of. I haven't got any footage of it on track, but there's Dick and Jill and some bloke from Ford. But it's a much better looking car than the dumpy little noddy car that they're running now.
Yeah, it's both of them, the Camaro and this one. Are much better looking than, yeah.
The problem they got with the Camaro is that Chevrolet have the rumours are growing that Chevrolet will drop the Camaro brand possibly as soon as 2024 in the United States. Yeah. So that's obviously not good for when they've based the future of the supercars category. This is the weakness of the category. I mean, they've based the future. I mean, they're going to end up with what they've got now. I mean, they're going to have a car like by the time 2026, 27 rolls around, they're going to be still racing a car that you can't buy that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So, but it looks good. It looks it does look very good.
It does.
So they're about. Mad Cow Mark got his motorcycle licence at Calder many years ago. That'd be there. Well, of course, they do that at Sandown. I was out at Sandown today. I'll let you know, Leisure Fest is out at Sandown. It's very strange going out there without a race meeting. But I've got to say, Pete, I found our demographic. I found the people who do watch in pit lane. There's an awful lot of them. And they're all over, and they're all grey nomads over 55. But it was really bizarre because I was there totally doing other work, and the people I was working with were very bemused at why people coming through the turnstile kept stopping and saying, I watch you on the telly every week," and they're going, "God, these senile old." It was very fun, but yeah, we had a lot of people. So thank you to everybody at Leisure Fest, and by God, there's money in that game, and a huge crowd. It was a much bigger crowd and this is Thursday. There would have been 25,000 plus out there today, and that's that's on the Thursday. So if you're going to go out to Leisure Fest, I'll be out there tomorrow. In fact, Doc's got a gig tomorrow morning too, so we picked up a bit of part-time, bit of casual work out there. Hence, unfortunately, we're not going to Motor Classica. Motor Classica is this week. And if you go out there, there's they've got a special section for racing cars, and they've got Bob Jane's original Mustang is out there, which as a car I haven't seen. The Di Tommaso Pantera that Kevin Bartlett ran back in the day has been restored, and it's out there as well. There's quite a few racing cars out there. Hopefully we'll have some footage on this week's edition of In Pit Lane. Fabulous Phil Taylor, the dangerously talented one, he is going tomorrow, and he's taking his camera along, and he's going to sort of wave that around in front of. He's not sure what he's waving it at, but he will wave it around at something, and I'm sure if any of it's usable, we'll certainly run it on Tuesday night. Okay, let's move on to other things. Let's we got the co-driver session was there, and the fastest was, as we said, Garth Tander. We heard from Garth just before, so that was Dave Russell. Of course, he's so reliable, isn't he? He's just he turns up every year. He's like Luff and
Youlden.
Luke Youlden and all those sorts of people. They just turn up and they do their job. They keep it off the wall. They lap competitively, and very well. Jordan Boys is another kid. I think he's a talent, Jordan Boys. I think he's got real potential. There, Matty Campbell. Congratulations to Matthew Campbell, who won the IMSA Championship at Petit Le Mans on the weekend. So, did you see that session, Pete?
I saw it with the sound turned down, but I saw it
through the filter of an amber liquid, perhaps.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The best way to watch Bathurst, I think.
But it was interesting. It was, but yeah, I think Triple Eight have got their machines tuned up really well.
Yeah, well, as usual, they're a very professional organisation, and we can see we just go through the top 10 there. Aaron Seaton did well also, and we saw Zane Goddard there as well, another young talent that I think has got a lot of potential. So so we'll keep an eye on that. I went out and spent I spent $25 to get KO so I could sit down and watch like an uninterrupted weekend of motor racing. And as it turns out, I'm probably not going to see a single lap of the race because I've suddenly found 4 days of work. So and I can't knock back 4. Trust me, I can't knock back because I didn't win. In case anyone's wondering, I did not win the $50 million. I'm not the Hampton Park resident who won the $50 million. But if the Hampton Park resident who won the $50 million, I mean, I'd 5,000. I'd be very any contribution would be gratefully accepted. Thank you very much. Okay, let's talk about some other things as well. We've got. Where are we now? I've lost. I have lost. No, there we are. That's it. Yep, there we go. Found the news that we were going to run. Yeah. Okay. This is the story that I think is going to get some attention over the next over the next few days. The FIA were due to release the details of the budget cap spending limits and who may or may not have been over the top of the limits. Now, surprise, surprise, was supposed to have been released today or yesterday, I think today our time, but they have now delayed this until next week, and there's a lot of people looking sideways as to what sort of deals are being done behind the scenes to mitigate some of the circumstances. The FIA have absolutely come out and, they've sent out a press release to all media. I've got hold of it as well, which basically said, do not speculate. You have been warned. There is no speculation is to take place. Because there is speculation, particularly from the Italian media, and that's sort of ironic. But the rumours, and they're only rumours, nothing has been proven, but the rumours that are flying around is that a certain coloured animal may have breached the salary cap last year and may have done so by about $10 million. Now, the interesting thing, Pete, is under the circumstances, I believe the leeway in terms of a minor breach works out to about $6 or $7 million. Anything over that, they consider a serious breach, and one of the prescribed punishments is loss of all championship points. Now, it's interesting that today a certain Lewis Hamilton basically said, I would have won the series last year if we'd have just spent $500,000 extra to improve our car, I would have won the series. So he's certainly sowing the seeds there of, we did the right thing, sir. We played by the rules, and poor me, I'm being punished for it. It's going to be interesting. How do you think the FIA are going to handle this? Surely it'd be a huge thing. They surely couldn't take the title off of Max Verstappen, and even if they did, should they?
I don't think they should. I think it should be the punishment. Allegedly, all the teams are gaming the system to a certain extent, and it's only minor apparently. And if that's the case, the FIA should say, okay, good on you, you've found a loophole, we'll plug it. And so from now on, we've plugged that loophole, and so you can't exploit that anymore.
And I think that's what they're looking at the moment, because I think already Christian Horner and Helmut Marko have already flagged the idea that if there is any really serious action taken against them, that this thing is probably going to end up in court. So, and I think the FIA are probably going to want to avoid that, and that's maybe one of the reasons that there has been a delay, is they're sitting down with and negotiating, as they did with Ferrari when they were cheating, and this is what this is cheating, to make sure that they sort of minimise the damage, and so, it'll be a McLaren situation where there'll be a huge, possibly undisclosed fine, but I would be amazed if they took in fact, I'd say it's almost, no chance that they would take the title off of Max at this stage.
I don't think they should punish anybody for anything that happened last year, because that's a farce that Formula One doesn't need. I think what they should do is, once the certificates are released, if anybody is exploiting the salary cap beyond what everybody else is doing, beyond a minor situation, then punish them for this year. So maybe if Red Bull are found to be exploiting it massively, then take Max Verstappen's points away this year, but not last year.
Yeah, you would have to think that would be big enough. If they took the points off for this year, that would be a big enough story as it is. Or if they penalised him in any way, with grid penalties for the rest of the year or something. it'll be interesting to see what they do. The other two, I mean, as we say, this is all speculation at the moment because we don't know. I mean, the speculation is that it's Red Bull and Aston Martin are the two teams that are being sort of, fingered at the moment. And it may be that, neither team has any. It'll be interesting to see what happens when it comes, if they come out. It wouldn't surprise me at all as when they make the announcement, they say, oh, good news, everybody played by the rules and there's no problems at all.
Well, Martin Brundle was saying on the Singapore coverage that he thinks everybody is gaming the system, but only on a minor situation. So it's fairly equal the way they're gaming the system. So
yeah, I think so. Incidentally, I mean, I don't want to turn everybody's stomach before they go, but Dave Stillwell is in fact not joining us. He's in fact watching us from bed. So good day. So sleep tight, Dave. Hope you have a good thing. Well, you'll probably be somewhere dry, but as he said, thanks to all the volunteers, we got Shane Priest from the In Pit Lane crew, our family. He's up there at the moment. He's working. I think he's working in Pit Lane. In terms of, so he's volunteering, he's camping, and he's been very, very wet. He's sent back lots of photos of a very, very wet camping area at the back of the paddock. So it was today they were really lucky, but apparently it is coming in tomorrow. The forecast for the next 2 days is like build an arc weather. So tomorrow and Saturday, could be an awful lot of fun. So anyway, have fun, Dave, and hope everything goes well. Keep everyone safe, and we'll catch up with you when we catch up with you sometime, hopefully next week. Okay, people. Let's So Formula. So that's sort of the Formula One. Anything? What about the weekend? The racing on the racing on the weekend. What did you think of it all? And Sergio Perez. What a very consistent and very professional drive.
Yeah, it was a pity that Max wasn't further up the grid because they could have played, tag team and played as a team, but it was.
I'm sure Sergio wasn't too upset about that because they couldn't do the Max is faster than you. Because it didn't matter how fast he was, he still had about 6 cars to get past to get anywhere near Sergio. So congratulations to Checo. That so he did well, and Ferrari picked up sort of some good points there as well, I think Daniel Ricciardo did. It's funny. There's so much sort of like bizarre sort of like bagging of Daniel at the moment. People saying people broke down, and people the guy came from 16th on the grid through to take 5th place. Yes, he did. Once again, Lando finished in front of him, but Lando started a lot further up. Well, that was it. Yeah, I mean it wasn't it. Yeah, it would have been interesting if he had got close enough that there. But to his credit, Daniel, I think, is a very professional. I don't think he wants to burn too many bridges. Unfortunately, it looks for certain that he's burnt the bridge at Alpine, because the news coming out of France yet again is that once again Oscar would very much like to have him, and has said we could get this guy and we ready made, and apparently the higher ups at Renault are saying no, we are not having him. He walked out on us, and we are not having him again. Forget about it. It's not happening. So the rumours are growing that he could end up with that test drive and reserve driver gig at Mercedes. That'd have to be his next best option, wouldn't it, Pete?
It would, but I think it's going to be a mistake because I think they could end up, because they've got Mercedes Academy drivers, and I think they're going to end up in a situation similar to what Alpine had with Oscar, where they're going to keep him hanging on, and they're going to say they're going to promise all these things, but then they're going to get a young driver who's up and coming. Well, actually, we want the young and up and coming driver, and not you. you know.
I mean, Daniel may be happy with that. I mean, because he knows how the system works. He's been around for long enough that he probably understands that, that this is how the system. And he may feel like that's part of his job, is to help bring the next generation through. That is, I mean, I'm sure they'll be paying him plenty of money. And the point is, he could do a George Russell if Lewis or George has a problem next year. It could be like, okay, Daniel, we need you to jump in, to replace someone for this weekend, and he could get up and have a really good and even win a race, sort of, And I don't think he'd knock back another Grand Prix win. I think he'd be more than happy about that.
But then Nico Hülkenberg did that the last couple of years, and he's been mentioned in dispatches with other teams, but he basically is on the outer, Nico Hülkenberg, so hasn't done him any favours.
No, that's it. That's interesting. Thanks to Mike saying there's an echo in the mic. Not sure what it should, because we both got the headphones in, so there shouldn't be one there. And I'm not picking up anything at this end, so I'm not sure why that is. So sorry about that, but not sure what would be causing that. Interesting. Sebastian Vettel, of course, running this weekend at Suzuka. Suzuka, one of Seb Vettel's favourite tracks, and he said, I am very much open to the possibility of doing cameo appearances. I don't think it works like that in Formula One, Seb. I don't think that they're going to sort of invite you in as a wild card or anything fairly soon. But the thing is, it does show that he's still interested in having a drive. Now, the rumour that is growing around, particularly out of Germany, is that we could well see him on the grid at Le Mans next year in the BMW.
That'd be fantastic.
Because he's doing some stuff. The German TV have been following him around his sort of year, and he's been doing stuff on German TV, and apparently it's sponsored by BMW. He's doing a lot of stuff with BMW in terms of promotion, and so everybody's saying that they're just waiting until he finishes at the end of the year and his contract's over with Aston Martin, and they will announce some sort of tie-in between BMW and Sebastian Vettel, and that that tie-in could include Sebastian being a BMW driver in at Le Mans at least, if not in the rest of the World Endurance Championship. So so that would be good as well. Paul Van den Acker saying the Formula Festival at Winton the weekend after next. That's really a whole. Haven't seen this for years. A whole open wheeler dedicated event. Unfortunately, probably not going to be able to get up there. I mean, once again, it's costs and time and all the rest of it. And I think sort of accommodation is there. The Formula 5000s will be there. Unfortunately, the Formula 5000s at this stage will not be at historic Sandown. That's a real blow. They weren't at historic Phillip Island, and there seems to be a bit of a wedge between the Victorian Historic Racing Register and the Formula 5000 guys, because the VHRR basically want them to run in with the categories, similar categories like Formula Pacific Atlantic, the Formula One cars, the groups R and P, and they want to sort of put them to have big fields. And the 5,000 guys are saying no, we have a dedicated race just for our category, or we don't turn up. So they're going to be running in a Rose City 10,000 tribute at Winton as part of the Formula Festival. There's also a big Formula Ford. The Formula Ford Festival is happening there as well. The Formula V Nationals is there, so that's going to be a really big weekend. Another reason we're not going up is I believe the whole thing is being live streamed. So wherever you are watching us now, I'm assuming it'll be on Blendline TV. So just head over there and you can have a look when that happens. Okay, so what's the time now? I think as I said, because I've got an early morning tomorrow morning, just sort of looking through. Oh yes, MotoGP stuff. Now coming up this week on In Pit Lane, we've got one of the young riders who's competing in the Oceania Junior Cup, which is happening at the Australian Grand Prix, the MotoGP next week. Yet again, more problems with camping, which is disappointing. That. I mean, but understandable because of all the rain we've been having. So it's pretty chaotic, but they've closed more camping areas, I believe, today, and a lot of people are sending back their tickets and getting refunds because unfortunately they can't get down there. But we'll have a full preview of the event this week or next week on In Pit Lane next Thursday night. And as we said, we've got I think Theron, his name. Coming in, he won the first race of the mini GP that we covered last week, and he's racing down at Phillip Island in this Oceania Junior Cup, which is sort of finding the next generation. So it's sort of one level below Moto 3. So he's going to be our guest on Thursday night next week on In Pit Lane. So yep, okay. So I think that's it. Anything you want to add, Pete, before we disappear?
No, just my tip for Bathurst is Will
Yep.
Davison.
Yes, so I'm still going with Shane. I think that rain, hail or shine. I think he and between him and the Triple Eight team, I think they're the class. I'm still saying as an outsider, if you can get good odds, if you're that sort of person who has a bet, I'm not. But if you are having a bet and you can get good odds, particularly if it's going to rain, Andre Heimgardner is my outside chance. I think he showed again today. He's very good. He's very good at Bathurst, and he's very, very good in the wet. So good luck to him. So good luck to everybody at Bathurst. As I said, for drag racing fans, tomorrow morning about 8:15 at Bathurst, a big announcement will be made about somebody getting involved in drag racing. Good news. And I think we'll call that now. Next week on the program, we spoke about this. I'd be interested in getting feedback from it, but we're talking about making this, rather than an after show, making it a before show, because it's becoming increasingly difficult for a lot of our regulars to put in the sort of the late night. Doesn't worry me much usually, but sort of Doc's obviously not here tonight. He's got a very early start tomorrow morning as well. And Pete was, you have early mornings like you have quite regularly as well, Pete. So so keep an eye out for it. We might actually move to say about 8:30 or something, and so rather than be the after show, we might be the pre-show. We'll be like, if you're a wrestling fan, they have the big pay-per-view pre-shows. So we might be going to a pre-show as well to just make sure we can, because some of us are getting old and need our beauty sleep.
But you won't have to pay.
No, you won't have to pay. No, it remains free to wear. But if you want to pay, as some people like Mad Cow Mark and some of our other supporters on Patreon, and Roy, who's our sponsor, who's in holidaying and relaxing in Bali at the moment, I believe. So yes, he's got better things to do than sit there and watch us at the moment. But anyway, thank you to everybody for joining us again. Really do appreciate it. As we say, not the appreciate the thing from Box. Quality over quantity. Thank you, mate. Thanks, Box. We appreciate that. So we'll catch you next week for another edition of Full Course Yellow. Remember to watch In Pit Lane, 9:30 Thursday night on Channel 31. And once again, to everybody that I saw out at, it was quite ridiculous the number of people that stopped me out at Sandown today at the Leisure Fest and said they watched the show. So and how much they enjoyed it. So thank you very much to everybody. The ratings are really great at the moment. Everything in terms of 31 is going wonderfully well. So thank you very much. We'll see you there. Yes, not enough nighttime hours to get enough beauty sleep. There's not enough hours invented for me to get enough beauty sleep, I tell you what. But anyway, we'll catch you all next week. Until then, thanks for joining us, everybody. And from Pete and myself, we'll say good night. Good night, everyone.